him out, you just got rid of him.
Blakey and Tux, they're talking Cardiff City and some other stuff. Blakey and Tux, Dolly asked the questions on Blakey's boot room. Will always be blue.
Good afternoon, a very warm welcome back to Blakey's Boot Room here on Wales Online as the new season begins. It's nothing's changed, as you can see, absolutely the same. Steve Tucker still here, Nathan Blake of course.
I spent the summer becoming a hippie.
Well, yes,
my aim, so I've made it now.
Quite a good look.
Glastonbury look, I like it.
I didn't even go to Glastonbury. I wish I had. No.
You would have got in.
It's not my scene anymore. I don't think Glastonbury.
Yeah, but you are a bit old for it, to be fair.
I am a bit old.
Indeed. How are we, Blakey?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Good summer. Nice holiday. Ate too much, drank too much. Need to get a bit of training.
I didn't want to say.
Yeah, we didn't want to talk.
Yeah, I need to get back into a bit of shape.
You know what we said?
Once the knee's repaired and all that,
Do you know what we said?
I'll start running again.
There's more of you to love. That was our
more
thought.
cushion for the pushing.
Indeed, good to have the football back, obviously.
Great to have the football back, although I was enjoying the golf and the cricket.
Yeah.
Cricket was all right. It's been very good, and but rugby league's my thing as well, isn't it? So down to the Super 8s now. So watching close eye on the rugby league, mate.
Okay, if we don't want to talk about that, really, let's talk about
much about it. No.
Let's talk about Cardiff City then.
Okay, that's why we're here.
First game,
Yeah.
1-1 with Fulham, an all right result on paper. The performance seems to have mixed reviews.
Yeah, Tux and I disagree here, so I'll let.
We always disagree.
Let's start with you then,
Yeah,
Tux.
yeah.
What did you make of it?
Well, as I said in some of the many pieces I've written, I thought there was an improvement there, a marked improvement on most, if not all, of what we'd seen last season. I thought, they've had a good pre-season, Cardiff. I think both in training camp and results-wise, although you could never tell with these pre-seasons, where they remained unbeaten, which has to be difficult competition. I thought they took some of that forward into the Fulham game. And last season, we sat here, we were often struggling to think of a, if we say we had a move of the game, last season you'd have been left scratching your head at times from a Cardiff perspective. I thought against Fulham, particularly first half, some nice little interplay, some nice little moves. I thought Joe Rowles brought a much more sense of urgency. He was getting down the flank.
You think he got caught on the ball a bit too much?
He was what, hogging the ball?
No, caught on the ball a bit too much.
Well, one thing I've noticed with him, he's got to know when to release it, hasn't he? That's one thing he hasn't. I thought a few times he could. Yeah. But I prefer to say got to know when to release it.
I love you,
okay,
man.
he was caught on the ball.
I love that.
But I thought a couple of times, there were passes he could have made, and he didn't. He's young. I think he's still developing. I was impressed with him. Pilkington, I thought, another one who's had a great pre-season. Last season just decimated of injury. I mean, Russell Slade barely saw him. As soon as he took over, the next minute Pilkington was out. So I thought he's brought that forward. I was, and I thought the crowd got off that. I thought there was generally a bit more, obviously the smallest league crowd, whatever, at the Cardiff City. But I thought that
they want to be positive.
They were up for it. There was a
positive.
buzz at times, particularly when Cardiff got it down and played.
You can tell they're saying to themselves, we are going to be positive for as long as we possibly can.
And I think,
like that.
I think, to be fair to Russell Slade, who's got a lot of critics all over the place since the moment he arrived, I thought there were a lot of positives to be gained from it. I thought at the back, they looked, considering they've got Manga and Turner out injured, I thought they looked reasonably solid. I thought Scott Malone played really well. He's had a bit of a, last season a lot of question marks about him. I think he's stepped up to the plate a bit. Peltier does what it says on the tin, kind of. I thought Matt Connolly was excellent in the heart of the defence there, and I thought Sean Morrison, the skipper, I remember Russell Slade said before the match, look, we're not looking for perfection, we're looking for progress. I think on those terms, he can say that was a successful afternoon. All right, you would have liked the 3 points. They're unlucky not to get the 3 points, thinking away. I don't think they could. If Cardiff had won it, I don't think Fulham could have turned around and said, "We was robbed" or whatever. I think Cardiff. I thought they edged it really, and but then I was all excited, and then I unfortunately bumped into Blakey, and he put a bit of a downer on my enthusiasm.
I didn't put it down. I just said as I seen it. I just.
Which was?
I thought they played a few too many balls backwards and square. I felt that the two full-backs could, if you're gonna play in now modern day football, your full-backs need to be able to beat their wingers and get forward and get crosses in. There was a couple of times where Peltier had opportunity, I felt, to go outside, and he either crossed it from deep or looked to go inside. I think that's something that both full-backs, I thought Malone, I thought he was decent. A couple of times he had one or two good runs. I thought he was decent. Listen, I think the overall performance was okay, but it didn't blow me away. I felt there was too much rotation and it was too deep between Rowles, KG, who is Dikachoy or Dikashwi, and Whittingham. I would prefer to see, I thought we were going to go with a holding midfielder in Dikashwi, which is what we thought we were going to have in the kind of system we were going to play, and then you'll have three midfielders set up however you like in front of him. Now, whether you want to play a 4-4-2 or a diamond or those three spread or two wide with Witt sitting in the middle connecting to the front two lads is up to you. But I just felt the three of them were all rotating, and to me, you don't. Maybe the two lads rotate and KG holds deep, and one of them comes and plays alongside him to maybe get out from the back if it becomes predictable going through him all the time. But they're rotating, and often you would find it was KG who was highest up the pitch, and then Rowles was coming in too far off the left. Then I didn't know whether we were playing with width or trying to play narrow. Pilkington was doing what he does best, and I thought that's where we were going to get most of our joy. And then I would say we played too many balls from back to front up to Ravel, and it was a high ball, and I forget the centre-back's name, but he was a big lad. He was never going to win that battle against that lad, or very rarely was he going to win that battle against that lad for the flick on. And then you flick on the ball to Mason, who's not a quick player. So I thought you'd be better off having Ravel back into the defender, play a flatter ball. If you're going to go from back to front, a flatter ball up into his chest, Mason round deep, and then you've got your wide men or your midfielders running off, and you have some interplay. But or the wide men come in off the line, get the ball and run at their back four, how I've seen Fulham do to us numerous occasions. But I felt it was okay, but I can't sit here and say it was a marked improvement on last season. It was just okay.
In terms of the midfield situation that Blakey was talking about, you were quite categoric after the match. You'd like to see Rowles in the middle, in the Whittingham position. I mean, I've been Witt's biggest fan down the years. I think he's a legend at the club and all that. I just thought, again, of all the people who brought over a bit of last season's form to us, I thought Whittingham was that. I thought he did that. The way he's playing there, he again failed to have the big enough impact for me. The distribution and getting the ball. He looked a little bit. He was coming deep quite a lot as well, and now with Dikachoy there, offering maybe a bit more protection than he had last year. I thought Whittingham should have been a bit more inventive, or a little bit more the killer pass, or the, as I've said, I thought Rowles would suit in that middle role for me personally, because I think. You don't think so? He's been a lot of people's sort of play.
I think he's got the dynamism that's needed in that position that Whittingham at the moment is occupying. And the other reason I think that could be done well is bringing Rowles in, is that they've got so many wide men now. There's a chance there then, if you bring Rowles inside to play Amiobi, or you've got Pilton, you've got Noon, you've got wide men there. I just think Rowles, he's bubbling with confidence. he's improving all the time as far as I'm concerned, and I think he can play that role, and I think he could do it really well. I've got nothing against Whittingham. One thing I'd say about Whittingham, as I said in the piece, I think he could be stranded on top of Mount Everest and Russell Slade had named him in his starting 11. Sometimes Whittingham, as we've seen before, he responds quite well when he's brought out the front line. I know it's early. I mean, it's pure supposition, really. I'm not writing it.
I think
I'm just saying it's something to be thought about because I thought he was ineffective.
I think it'd been a bit unfair to single anyone out in that performance. Like I said, it was an okay performance. Yes, there's room for improvement. It's the first game of the season, but prior to the first game of the season, everyone was saying results great, looking great, playing great. So then you get to the first game of the season, and what happens? It's fairly innocuous to me, very ordinary, okay performance. Didn't leave there going, I can see us in a couple of months being like really on this.
I think it was a platform.
And I don't think there was
definitely a platform to build on there.
I don't think there was any one player I would single out and say,
well, that's difficult when you've got a thing to write saying most disappointing player. You know what I mean? And you can't help but single someone out. Then that's purely a practical thing. But I definitely think I said. I can see. I was a little bit more excited than I had been. First day of the season, everybody gets excited. You do, don't you? I was a little bit more excited, but I think there you could kind of see what they were trying to do, and I think that's a platform for them to build. I don't think they're going to. I don't think they've arrived fully formed, like, da-da, here we are. But how many teams have on the opening day of the season?
No,
you've got the transfer window open for another month. I mean, crikey, so you've got to see massive changes anyway. So, but I definitely thought I saw.
I don't think we'll see massive changes,
as you might.
I don't think we'll see.
Well, let's talk about. I mean, we won't see massive changes in Cardiff.
No, but I mean across the division. I meant really.
In terms of the changes, we've seen that the one real player who's been brought in with a bit of stardust. Sammy Amiobi. We thought, didn't get in the team. People telling me he's not a striker. He's not really a.
No, he's not. He's not.
He's not really a footballer.
Okay, so this is. You're going to play him wide first and foremost, right? Because he can play shoulder facing rather than back to goal, right? So he can see the ball coming, the defender coming. So you play him wide. He's a very good dribbler with the ball. He's very athletic, but you don't stick him up front. So you either say to him, you're playing wide of a 4 or 3 on the left to do what you want to do outside, inside, or you're going to come off the right and come across, or you say to him, right, I've got my back 4, I've got my 2 full backs who'll go and bomb on, I've got my DeCashry who's going to hold, I've got my Whittingham, if you like, ahead, supporting Ravel. I've got Mason who's going to be buzzing around that number 10 position around Ravel, and okay, I've got Pilkington one side and I've got Amiobi the other side. That's how I thought we'd go. Amiobi come on as a striker. At the point that he's coming on as a striker, I would have just said to what's his name, the other striker, Mason, you play high up then. Yeah, you just sniff around, look for the fox in the box, little darting runs in behind, because they weren't really incredibly athletic at the back. Yeah, and then I would have said to Amiobi, you just float across, float in, float out. So you float in, you pick up the ball when we've got it off your Whittinghams and your DeCashries, you come off the line, you play in that pocket, you turn, you get at the back 4, you get at the centre back, you get at the full back, or you play him as the number 10, but he's not a back to goal player. He's not that type of player. So, that comes with work though on the training ground. So I don't know how.
It's hard to see at the minute. I mean, you've got Mason playing a number 10 role, who's been the player of pre-season. He's in. Rowles is in.
But Mason's playing more of a 9.
Whittingham's Whittingham's not going to be dropped. Craig Noon came on and scored a
worldie
on the weekend. Pilkington has been the player of the last few weeks. Where does
maybe I see it too simply, in the sense that it hasn't been the most scintillating summer for signings or whatever. Amiobi's arrival was the big news. You know, you got him in from, you know, he's great reports. You know, he's quality. He's this. He's got that. He's got.
He had a good end of the season with Newcastle.
Yeah, he's got all that.
And then you sub him.
I don't
get that.
I don't see how you bring a guy in like that.
He's supposed to be your diamond.
Exactly.
He's supposed to be the one that other players go, whoa.
As soon as he arrives in that training camp, I think he joined them when they were in Derbyshire or wherever the hell they were there. You immediately say, right, this is the guy.
This is my number 10.
This is where he slots in.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Let's
how
work
often
on
we're
some
going to get
stuff
the
around
ball.
him. Let's work on getting the best out of him.
Right.
Because you anticipate this guy, you know, we know he needs games. You know, maybe he's low on confidence. He needs games.
No, he's not low on confidence. He had a great end of the season.
Oh, okay, well,
he had a great end of the season.
He needs
well, I
think that's why he's in the Championship.
If anything would have knocked his confidence, it's being named on the bench.
Well, exactly. That's what the point.
Because you're expecting to be the shining light.
And
you're coming from a bigger club down to Cardiff City to start week in, week out. Not to sit on the bench. You can sit on the bench in Newcastle.
There was all that fuss getting him here, sneaking him away from Wolves and all that, and then suddenly you get him and you're like, well, hang on, he's on the bench. When are you going to use him? How are you going to use him? And then he
wasn't used in the best way, was
he? He looked rubbish. Which was the irony.
No, he came on and he was having to play with his back to goal.
Well, he came on.
And he had a few nice touches. He had a few nice touches. The one ball he had, he was slightly on the right and he turned and the ball's running away from him and he's drilled a lovely ball out to the left-hand side. I think it was from Malone and then he got a crossing and we almost scored from it. But, you know, those sorts of positions, those drifty kind of positions, fine. But then you've got to play into his strengths. You know, I felt we did play a bit too much from back to front and we didn't play enough those wingers coming in off the line and getting into pockets where you're between defence and midfield, where the ball's going in, they're able to turn and run, which makes your back four retreat automatically. They have to. And then you get the runs of, that's where I think Joe Mason, it really comes into his own. If you can get a player, of Joe's sort of vision in that number 10 role, which I think Amiobi could do, sit in that number 10 role, and then have Mason running those little darting in between people, because he's not quick, but he's quick in mind. That's the beauty of what Joe's got. He knows when to make the run, which gives him that extra couple of yards on defenders. So me personally, I probably would have taken Ravel out, because he works hard, but I probably would have taken Ravel out and said to Amiobi, you just float. You just, you know, you looked at, we need to go in a direction of a bit more play centrally, dynamic play centrally, because Fulham done it to us a few times and they look really dangerous. You know what I mean? They look, for me, Tuck said Fulham couldn't have complained if they had lost. For me, I thought, well, no. On order of chances, we were probably round about evens, but clear-cut chances, I thought the two they had, McCormack missed one, I don't know how, and the blonde lad, what was his name, the winger? And I think it was Conley made a great block, and it went up over the Pringle. I felt they had two really good chances, and I felt, you know, a draw was probably a fair result, but we were a bit more fortunate than them. So I was slightly different to Tugs. He was saying Cardiff were a bit unlucky. I thought.
Well, I just thought. I mean, one thing we not talked about was, which I'm sure we were coming on to, is Simon Moore, the goal that they conceded, and Simon Moore's part in that. I felt awfully bad for him. Funnily enough, I interviewed him for the first time out in Holland. He over there, and it was obviously he was playing a big part in pre-season because of Marshall, either suspended for 3 games or off to West Brom or whatever. And the guy, he's a great bloke. He came in last year. I think he had 10 championship games last year, and I think he felt. Good. Yeah, I think he felt he did well, and a lot of people thought he did well, and he was really buoyed by that. And now to get this chance at the start of this season, he was desperate to do well. And it's like you said in your column, Blake. I was reading that today. You miss as a striker, people are like, you lose the ball in midfield, 9 times out of 10, someone's going to cover your thing. You do some of that as a keeper, you've had it. And I hope he's not feeling bad about it. It shouldn't be. Like I say, it's a collective responsibility. But you know, it was a bit of a problem for him. And what it's done, judging on social media now, is people going, if Marshall goes, we need a new keeper. We've got to get. I think that's if I'm being done for if I'm being done for being harsh
Not
on
like Arsenal are going to go out and sign a new keeper tomorrow, is it?
No, exactly. I mean, look at Czech.
Yeah, exactly.
He had an even worse happening. So
and it was a cross-come shot. It was. I said on commentary,
Smith
had clattered him first half.
I hadn't really noticed that when you said, he almost had. It was coming in, and he almost had one eye on Smith.
I thought that was very good by Smith, as from a striker's perspective, because he hit him the first half, and then he had a couple of headers as well, which he came close, and you could see he was a big, aggressive, brute of a guy who's going to stick his head in anywhere. And once he had left someone on more, I felt that probably had a bit to do with it. It was a cross-come shot, so it was a difficult one to handle. And he's probably half thinking, or even quarter thinking, maybe Smith's going to, because I'm taking at this highest point here, maybe Smith's going to come and give me another one.
Looking at it again, you can almost see that hat of him, kind of like.
I couldn't see because I didn't have my glasses on, so he's too far away.
You didn't see any of the game anyway.
But
hey, we won 4-0. Good news.
But I just felt Smith that was probably what Smith. Because that's what you're told to do if you're going to unsettle the keeper.
Yeah, of course.
It's part and parcel. He was probably a little unnerved, and he's trying to impress. It's his first game. He knows chances are Marshall are going to go, so this is my opportunity to be number one. I think, you just cut the boys some slack at the end of the day.
Totally.
And,
I think he proved enough last season in his run of games to show that he's solid. He's not spectacular.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for a start, he's 25. In goalkeeping terms, that's like being 17, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Really, I mean, that he's a young keeper, but... I hope that doesn't dent his confidence, and I hope that people sort of.
And we didn't lose the game anyway, so
And Marshall, are we happy in terms of 5-6 million quid is what they're negotiating over?
I'm not sure how long Marshall's got in his contract. Which
he's
for
got a long time. He only signed one recently.
Okay, so for me, I think you're probably about 3 million too cheap.
You think he's in? Yeah.
I'd be looking at about 8 million for him. And I know Pulis has said in the press, can't afford it. But hey, unlucky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, because I think, he's the kind of player, Marshall, he is your backbone. And you build your team around that spine. You don't have to worry about a keeper. Well, you got Manga, and I would play Manga and Connolly all day. I think, Connolly is probably one of the most unluckiest pros I've seen at Cardiff, because they just loan him out, bring him back.
5 years.
Yeah, but they just keep loaning him out and bringing him back, loaning him out, bringing him back. I think if you said to him, you're vice captain or something like that, I'd have him and Manga as my two centre halves. Like I said, you got the big man in goal. You're halfway there. You know what I mean? You only need your dominant centre midfielder and your striker.
I think Marshall has served his time at Cardiff in a way.
I understand what you're saying.
And also, when last week it was.
But if I'm going to build a team to get back to the Premier League, okay, name me a keeper I'm going to be able to get for 3 million quid, 2.5 million quid, who's as good as Marshall. I'm not. So it's that's what I'm saying. At the moment, he's on a long contract. Listen, if Marshall's coming and going, look, I've done my time, I want out, then I would say I'd be gutted. I'd do everything I could to try and convince him to stay, but I would be of the opinion, like you're saying, he's done well for us, he's been loyal to us, he's developed under us, we bought him, we can sell him for a good profit. Okay, right. That would be my final thing I would try. But I'm trying to build a team to get back to the Premier League, not build a team to survive in the Championship. So why would you sell your best players? It's like any club. When they sell their best players, the fans go, why are we selling our best players if we want to get to the next level, if we want to improve? Well, it's not like we're a top 10 Premier League team. Yeah. We're a Championship team, and we finished, 11th last season. We got a rebuild, and when you've got positions already filled with very high quality players, there's no reason why you'd sell them if the player's happy and you're happy.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, let's go to the other end of the field then. Question from Daniel, who says, Blakey, if you were playing in this Bluebirds team, what striker would you want to team up with as a front two?
Mason. I would be playing, like I said, I would play as the hit man. Okay, so I'll take the hits, Joe. You just play around me. You come deep. Sometimes you run in behind, yeah. But more often than not, I'm going to be balling and I'm just going to be one touch. I'm going to lay in it and move in. So yeah, and you're picking up and running up back for defenders, picking out wingers and making your run into the box. Mason, without a shadow.
Okay.
No
where,
second.
where does Kenwyn Jones, obviously wasn't fit for this weekend, where does he fit into, if you're telling me Cardiff are playing
Hillsborough.
new fancy football and all the rest of it, where, do you
I
think he fits into
think
this
by a
team?
country mile, obviously, he's the best striker at the club, for me. I
But
mean,
you don't think he's going to play?
Well, this is it.
I-
Let me just chuck this in here, right?
Right.
So you've got Kenwyn Jones, best striker at the club. Not sure what you're going to do with him. Add him out on loan. You play Ravel in front of him. You're trying to get points. So until you got him sold, for me, he plays before Ravel.
But he's
Right.
injured. He's injured. Apparently.
Yeah, but last season he wasn't. Right? So he plays before Ravel if you're trying to get promoted. So there's your striker sorted, right? Your number 10, you've got Joe, or if you want to play him as a striker, whatever. You need your high midfielder. You've got KG as your stopper midfielder. You've got Connolly and Morrison, or Connolly and Manga when he comes back fit.
Yeah.
And you've got Marshall in goal. You've got the spot. You got it sorted. It then comes down to coaching and 3 or 4 players. Like I said last season, you need some raw pace, which you should be able to get a player from the lower leagues and develop him. If not, you should have something in the ranks to that. You've got Pilkington on one side, whose trickery is great. You've got Noon to come in, who after that goal, his confidence, you start to rebuild his confidence. Mate, you got it there. It's just about what you do on a training field and then delivering that on a Saturday. So you're gonna get rid of Marshall, okay, like we've just had that discussion, and Kenwyn Jones for lesser players. What's the goal? What are we trying to achieve this season? Is it top 6? I mean, you'd never say, "Oh, we're
Yes,
going to
it
get
is.
top
That's
6."
the goal, isn't it?
The
Top
goal is your promotion. That is it. Yeah, if we finish top, that's what we're trying to finish top of the table.
Because a lot of people would say, they look at the Cardiff squad, they look at the team and they think, that's a mid-table outfit, top 6 will be pushing it. But you think
Those players with confidence could finish top of the league, no problem.
Really?
Depending on how you play, how you're coached on a daily basis, right? If you look at, I said the Tucks, you look at Norwich last season, they were falling. All of a sudden, a new manager comes in, fresh ideas, fresh coaching ideas, and those same players with 10% extra confidence, boom, they reignite. Noon's a prime example. Noon needed, I said, just before he come on, he's the kind of player, he needs a moment. Well, I never envisaged that kind of moment. But what a moment.
You've been waiting for that for about...
But that is what,
Well, it was funny,
right. So we're all sat here thinking, we expect Noon to go boom now, don't we? Back to what he was. Or maybe not straight away, but bit by bit now, within 3 to 5 matches, we'll have Noon ripping people apart again. It's nothing that Russell Slade or anything's done. That's what that one moment has done for him.
It was so weird with him last season. I lost count the number of times he cut inside and shot, and it ended up. It was just and then as
he comes inside all the time, man.
Mate, top corner, but I think the personnel are there, as Blakey says. I still, when I hear that to get a top player in, Marshall has to be sacrificed, part of me thinks it's a sacrifice that could be.
Well, you're sacrificing a top player to get a top player.
I think that central midfield role, I've suggested roles, whoever, I still see that as a desperate need.
Okay, so would you put Rowles? Would you put Rowles?
An experienced guy.
Would you put Rowles in the top 10 of central midfielders in the Championship who are going to create and score goals or create or score?
No, I'm talking about what they got now. I would like to see someone brought in, and if that means, for me, I think more can do the job. He did it for 10 games last season. I don't remember. Okay, it's just me. I don't remember anyone coming up going, "Oh, flaming! We got to get rid of Simon.
No.
When's Marshall fit?" He was fine. He was fine. You don't need some Rolls Royce keeper in there, really. I think Moore can do a job there. Seriously, if Marshall had to be sacrificed, for me, that's this. All summer, what we've been talking about, when we said who do they need, we kept saying central midfielder, central ball winner, someone who can distribute, someone with a bit of energy, a guy, a Grant Ledbetter, Matt Mould, a kind of a leader of men. Still haven't got it. And we hear now, we're not going to get it because there's no money to buy anyone like that. Well, for me, I can sacrifice Marshall, to be honest. I'm happy with more. If they could bring in a quality central midfielder, then you're getting your spine together. Then.
I think,
then you're getting the
knowing
spine.
Cardiff's under 21s and youth, I think they've got it in there. I'm not going to say any names, but I think they've got a few players who could improve that team, not squad, team, if they're given the chance, if they're developed correctly. Yeah, because Cardiff have to be aware there's players they're letting go, i.e. Josh Yorath, being picked up by the likes of Mick McCarthy and given 2-year deals. Now, I always say, if that was me, I'd be looking at my 21s manager, youth manager, development, whatever, academy, and thinking, what's going on, gentlemen? That's Mick McCarthy. That's no mug. Yeah? So there's a player there who you've let go, you've developed for the last 10 years, then you've let go, and someone else has picked him up on a 2-year deal. He's no mug, mate.
I think Russell. I spoke to Russell Slade about the academy, and I don't think he was. They just brought somebody in as well.
Listen, the Cardiff, the Regan, there's the young lad at Newport, Regan Poole. Let him go at 15. Would like him back at 17. You look in their first team squad, and you look and say, right, who's come through in the last 3 to 5 years? Declan John, not even in the squad yesterday, international player. The whole process at Cardiff needs to be rethought for me. And I'll say it.
Well,
needs to be rethought because you're always looking over there to buy a player in for a couple of million quid when he's sat right there. You look at, I know it's easy to highlight after the event, but look at West Ham yesterday. 16-year-old kid. Now that takes your coaching staff and your management staff to recognise that boy is ready. Yeah? Recognise he's ready. Recognise if you want to develop him, make him train with the first team. He's not going to get a better place than that. Make him develop within his own group of players. He'll feel more comfortable. He'll get a better understanding. Pros will look after him. Listen, we're talking about Cardiff's first team squad here. Like I said, they're 21s and youth team. There's players there that can be utilised and should be utilised far sooner than what they are.
Well, I mean, that's all great and good. I still say you need an experienced guy in there. That is the missing piece. I mean, there's various missing pieces, but for me, the big piece is that central midfield. Somebody.
But you've got it. You've got what you've got now. You've got a number 6. The problem was 3 of them rotating. Like I said, you've begged all last season. Oh yeah, DeCastro, when we get DeCastro back. Oh, remember DeCastro? He'll be like a new player. You got him, and then all of a sudden you put him in a central midfield with a 2 against the 3 and rotate your own 3 by bringing your winger or your wide man into a 3. But mate, that's very complicated. You have got to work on. That's like an unbalanced midfield but it can work because you've got Pilkington as your person who's higher up the midfield. But then you sit with a 3. But then you don't sit with a flat 3. 1 has to be deeper and 2 slightly higher. It's like...
I don't think all that rotation was on purpose. I think that was just answering the needs.
Said they don't play 4-4-2, they play off for 4-4-2, and he actually said with Raoul's coming inside, which is what you're talking
Yeah, but he was coming in over the halfway line into our half to get the ball off the right back at times.
Maybe that's a little too much.
Yeah, you are throwing the shape of your team because it's not like then what was happening was when Witts would take out a slightly wider position on the angle to get the ball off Raoul's to then play into the front man. Listen, that's what I say, coaching it's easier said than done. If you gotta coaching, offensive, tactically, it's a difficult thing, mate. You know what I mean?
Okay, let's have a few comments there. A couple of comments on that actually. Adrian saying, bring in Ocean Roberts to run the football from top to bottom. Obviously, very respected guy with what he's done with Wales and the coaching setup there. We're a laughing stock, he says. We are the capital club run like a pub team, he says. On to that, Jareth Phillips saying, I hope you're right, Blakey, about some lads capable of playing. Tommy O'Sullivan, he says, I think he's going to be class. Go along with that.
Tommy O'Sullivan, Theo Wharton, Roland McNacey. I can name those three straight off the bat. Will they get an opportunity? I very much doubt it.
Okay. Steve saying, do we not think Ral's in a wide position is putting square pegs in round holes? Which you probably
I
do.
thought he played well. I mean, as you say,
What would you
kept
rather
coming
him as,
inside.
a centre midfielder or what? Because he's not got the pace to play wide wing midfielder, so he's left of a 3 then, isn't he, really?
Yeah.
Or left of, he has to be left of a 3 because he's not going to give you any sort of pace or anything down the outside. So he has to come inside and play as a 3. Now, my problem was, not with him personally, but with the shape of the team then. Ral shouldn't be coming behind Whittingham and Dekashwi to get the ball. Yeah?
Yeah, he should be up to receive it. Really,
You know, you want Dekashwi coming to get the ball and playing balls into Ral's, into Whittingham, right? Then you go and find the wide man or the front man or wherever. And if they start to click on and start to close down Dekashwi, then Ral's comes with Dekashwi, then he advances. Then Whittingham comes with Dekashwi, then he advances. But you've got KG there all the time as the link, and they can't always close it down because they've had an attack, people out of position, people in 70 minutes, legs start to go, head start to go, you lose your shape and things like that. So
Thought they looked a
you
little
stick
tired
with it and you will get the results at the end of the day. But it's like, it's like watching Chelsea and seeing Matic play higher than Fabregas. Rarely. Unless it's a give and he's gone. Rarely. He sits, mate. Because it is such, you have to be so disciplined to play that 6. You have to sit. You know, the men ahead of you, they're the attackers. You might get the odd shot off from deep, but mainly they're the attackers. Hence why when Makaleli played it, never scored a goal, got the penalty at the end of the season, and it was like, great. But you sit. You don't rotate. He's not higher. You know, they rotate in front of you. You sit. The only people you're worried about is my 2 centre halves. Yeah, right back, you can really crack on. Left back, you can actually crack on.
That's what Dekashwi is designed for. Is that
correct?
He's designed for that position.
So then it comes down to what you're doing on a training field. It's as simple as that, mate.
Okay. Yeah. A couple more comments. Wayne saying you're talking about we need a midfielder to carry the ball and drive forward, but we've just let Adeyemi go to Leeds.
We said
who was
it.
man of the match on Saturday.
We know.
What are your thoughts?
We know. We said I said last season. I think we've got the player sat there. He did play a game.
So
well,
you
his
just
last
didn't
game.
quite fancy him as
Well,
obviously not.
But I don't see the point in ever signing him because Ollie never really
fancied him either.
No, and I'm like, well, they were saying, he's a goal getter, but he's a boxer. He's got that stride. He's got that. He's quite aggressive tackling. He's not going to spray the ball for you. So you don't play. Dekashwi can find a pass clearly because he made a good couple of passes. But you play Tom as that boy who gets into the box for you. That boy who centre halves, knock it down to midfield, bang, he's onto him. Boom, he's through, boom, spreading the play. You play to those strengths. To me, that's what I'm saying. The whole thing is, I just raise my eyes sometimes and think, Adeyemi, great point there.
He was just another in that long line of guys who came in and
Gested, we see Gested yesterday. There's another thing. He was always going to develop into a great player. He had the leap, got injured a bit, but he was young, body grown into his body shape, good feet on the floor for a big man.
Interesting this morning that Tim Sherwood revealed that he spoke to Craig Bellamy before signing him. Bellamy said, "Get him. He's got it. He's got it.
He's got it all."
And he played with him, obviously.
Dave Jones and I sat a couple of times, and I used to say that if he can start peeling off, he'll get 10, 15 goals a season at the back stick. Yeah. Once he learns that run, you get forget like what he get with his feet. He'll get 10 headed goals a season, no problem.
The ones that got away.
The ones that got away. Suggesting you play 3 at the back with wing backs and the midfield loaded.
I would go with that.
You'd like the sound of that?
I would go with that. Yeah. Or I play. Or I play 4 with 1 holding and 3 in front and another one up top.
Steve says surely 4-2-3-1 is the ideal formation with De Castries.
That's what I just said.
Strauss as the 2, Amiobi and Noon wide with Mason sat in the hole, and Kenwin up front, he says.
Yeah.
There isn't many attacking units better than that in the league.
Yeah, I'd agree. So again, you look at our shape 4-4-2, we got players that can play it, but we've got, like Pilkington could play as a high wide striker or as a high wide winger. He's got the ability, he's got the nous. Noon can. Do you know what I mean? I think we're better suited to definitely having 3 in midfield. I think we definitely could go with 3 at the back. You've got a choice of centre halves. Look at the centre halves you got. Yeah, Morrison, Connolly played on the weekend, and you got Manga
to come in,
and
Turner as
Turner.
well.
You play with 3 centre halves. They're all Manga's athletic, Connolly's athletic, Turner's a brute but can run enough. Morrison is probably the least athletic out the centre halves, but he's always likely to get you a goal. He loves a tackle. He's what I call a forward centre half. You know, more thought needs to go into Cardiff. I honestly think.
You think it's just 2 set out there, 4-4-2?
I just think there's no creative thought being. It's like I looked at this Saturday and thought, why are we letting Fulham come on to us? And when we got the ball, they're pressing us. We're the home team. Why don't we press them? Yeah, and if they want to press us, fair enough. But why don't we press them rather than let them come on to us, and try and hit them with a counter-attack when we've not got blistering pace out wide or up front, which is going to worry them for a counter-attack.
It's interesting stuff, Blakey. Good
analysis.
Good analysis.
That's all it is, mate. We're just trying to break it down. We're just trying to help. Yeah, just trying to help.
Sure, Russell Slade's busily taking notes.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
He's probably a red dot on my head somewhere.
Sit back.
I mean, outside of tactics then and players, how much will confidence count for? Because what we've heard a lot of in the last few weeks is particularly Matt Kennedy, that piece you did with Matt Kennedy talking about how the dressing room was just a strange place last year. No characters, no talking, very odd. But everybody's, there's this big thing, isn't it? We're more together, we're fitter, everyone's united. They've got this code of conduct that Slade talked about. Everyone's pulling in the same direction. It's great.
Well, I mean, they are going.
I'm not sure when people come out with being a bit overzealous about it.
We're together, obviously.
Yeah, it's kind of like.
Were you surprised to hear?
No.
What Matt Kennedy said?
No, not at all. You could see it. You can see it on the pitch. You can see it. I'd rather see my own two players, having a scrap with each other, because someone's dropped a real clanger, or rather than I felt like if we lost. Listen, they care. I'll never name that the player, but there was nobody there who's gonna. Maybe a Turner then might be that type. You know what I mean? Who would, aggressively. Morrison, he might be another. Aggressively go up and get in one of his players' faces. But there's no. Marshall's probably another one. There's no. What I call. Leader of the men. Then you don't look on a Saturday. You didn't look Saturday then and go, look at him. I wouldn't like. He's giving him a bit. He's giving.
Well, I think this is reflected in the fact that it seems so hard. The captaincy is all a bit vague as well, isn't it? I mean, you've got Marshall.
Who is the captain?
Morrison was given.
Yeah, he's not the captain.
But Slade, I actually asked Slade this, I suppose, and he said, well, no, I don't want no decisions being made. I don't want to talk about it. So it's almost obvious to him that nobody's leaping out saying, I'm the man or whatever.
Well, Marshall's going to be going then. That tells you, doesn't it? Because I would give it to Marshall, because I've seen Marshall like blaze a few people a few times. Do you know what I mean? And keepers are usually got that
side
fiery streak in them as well. So if you're not giving it to Marshall, that would be another sign that he's probably leaving. I don't know, mate. I don't know.
No, I mean, when I was in Holland, the atmosphere at the team hotel, I mean, I'm there, I'm a reporter, they're not going to be like punching each other in the face in the corridor there. All the talk was of last year, like Matthew Kennedy said, last year there were problems, the dressing rooms changed now, and now where?
I've heard.
You can only take it at face value. I mean,
I've spoken to people who were in the dressing room. I would never like reveal them or what I know, but what I do know as a general, the dressing room definitely needed improving. Now, if you look at Saturday's programme notes from Russell Slade and from Ken Chew, they were both about trying to bring together, Ken's talking about bringing together the club and the fans, and Russell's talking about bringing together the dressing room. Now, straight away, that tells you there's division in the two last season. How the hell do you expect to get promoted or get any sort of success when your dressing room split and your fans and your club are split? It's impossible, mate. I say all the time, you got to have a collective, and everyone's got to be going. There'll always be people who want to go left when you're going right. That's just nature of the beast, I'm afraid. But as long as you as a club got your philosophy and your structure and your plan and your strategy to get where you want to go, you'll be fine. As long as you're all buying into it, you'll be fine. That's how you build confidence, because when it hits the fan a bit, we lean back on what we all got, our philosophy, our beliefs, togetherness. Right, let's go again.
I think the Fulham game will have given them confidence. I think that's, as I said earlier, a platform. That, for example, the way they fell behind was enough. It was gutting. You could have just thought, oh my goodness, what have we got? Moment of magic, gets them back on it. I think they can build on that now. They say, yeah, look, we got that.
You have no choice.
So we can,
you have to build.
We can move forward. And it's like you say in your column again, like, a couple of wins, whether it comes off someone's backside and goes in, and you kind of like, and you come away from looking at Loftus Road on Saturday, and you come away from there with 3 points. Suddenly, it can ignite you. And as you also said just now, facing 11 guys brimming with confidence is a completely different thing from, say, Cardiff last season, traipsing out of a silent dressing room. Teams last season must have been looking across at Cardiff in the tunnel and thinking,
weak.
We got these. Don't worry, these guys are beat before they're gone. They just need a little bit of good fortune now, just something to kickstart the season, and the fans as well. Then they get a couple of wins, then more come down. And
I slightly disagree with Tux. It's not good fortune. They need leaders. They need men. They need management to be men. They need coaching staff to be men. They need positivity. They need the collectiveness. They need good ideas. They need a plan, how they're going to play, what's best for them, what suits their structure and the players they've got in that structure best. Because to me, I don't think they're playing. I think they could play a different system and get a lot more out of the players they got there.
I think there's no doubt they're not getting the most out of the talent that they have at this point in time.
Because talent leaves and goes like that.
What about Adrian here? Is sat at home or in work listening to you?
All right,
listening to you saying what you've been saying about the tactics, about they could get more out of it. And he says, listening to this, it's clear Russell Slade is out of his depth. We need a new manager. What does Blakey think?
I
know we're not going to start calling for managers.
No, I'm not calling for managers' heads. But
hey, that's next week.
He's cutting through what you're saying, and he's saying that you're saying Russell Slade is not doing a great job.
I'm saying the coaching staff, and it's led by the manager, need to look and think to themselves, right, they must be doing it. That's what I'm saying. It's almost like I'm thinking to myself, well, they got to have, but then if they got to have, what?
Why aren't they doing
why
it?
Not why aren't they doing what I'm saying, but why aren't they seeing, well, there are a few things you can do, not problematic, but a few things you can do that are going to improve things. So it is largely down to the coaching staff and the manager. So am I calling for his head? Hey, listen, I call for no one's head. the man is there. The man is there. But yeah, I can't disagree with Aid.
Well, he's
I
picked out
guess
there.
I think I said in some of the pieces I've written, if you were pro Slade before that game, you'd be feeling the same probably. If you were anti Slade after the Fulham
You'd be
game,
the same,
you'd be
yeah.
feeling, you'd probably be
Maybe
feeling, really nobody.
Well,
was
that's why I
swung.
said it was nothing. It was
Well, exactly. Yeah,
it was
I
an
know what you
okay
mean.
performance.
I was trying to put a bit of a gloss
Yeah,
on it. I think there were improvements,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
you know,
and
I
you'd
see a lot
expect
of
improvements. I said the Tugs, they've been together all pre-season.
Well, they're fitter,
They've
stronger,
beaten,
more
right?
that
They've
sort of thing,
beaten
yeah.
like some Bournemouth and what have you. I know you don't read a lot into them, but it's those kind of games, those kind of results. It's the win, 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 win.
Pre-season was definitely
Which,
positive, wasn't it?
yeah,
It was
which
great.
you
all the way. I couldn't.
well, expectations. I think that's why fans were so patient on Saturday, because their expectations, they're actually waiting for this thing to ignite. Yeah, but looking at the game Saturday, and I'm only calling what I see. I'm not trying to be negative, positive, anything. I just here to give an opinion and an appraisal on what I see. And what I seen was, it was okay, but I wasn't. I wasn't. Do you know what I
Nathan,
mean?
it
I
was
wish I
okay,
could come
Blake.
back. I wish I could come out. Put it this way: if we had played how Fulham had played, pressed high, little patterns in midfield, I would be saying it's going to develop into something special. Yeah, but the moment I'm just waiting to see when then I can come on and go, it's starting to develop. Right? Did you look at this? Did you look at that? Watch this, watch that. But it wasn't there Saturday. It was just maybe 1-0 down, having to get back into the game. I'm finding reasons for, you know, not the free flowing. But we haven't seen free flowing football at Cardiff for a long time, mind. Long time. The promotion was under, you know, back solid workaholics. Yeah, we've not seen what Cardiff City fans like, which all fans like, to be fair. But you know, Cardiff City been brought up on football, isn't they?
Football.
You know,
yeah.
other teams have been brought up on long ball.
Well, maybe it'll all change next weekend away to QPR, which sounds tough.
Good time to play them, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beaten by one of the relegation candidates. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was saying
Yeah.
beaten by.
I looked it up.
I don't understand why Charlton are relegation candidates, but beaten by Charlton. You know, we can go there now without real pressure, because people are going to be saying, you know, QPR, they're going to be one of the favourites, came down, all the rest of it. Right, that was us last season.
Yeah.
So pressure's on them more than it's on us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those are little messages you send into your players' brains, so they go into the game relaxed but intense. Yeah.
That's the key. There's obviously a game before that game tomorrow night.
Yeah, against
the
Sudan.
League Cup against AFC Wimbledon. Neil Ardley.
Neil Ardley, old boy.
returning,
It's a good lad.
returns to club. Apparently, Terry Phillips was telling me something. He's the guy who sort of discovered Joe Rowles, if you like. He was the guy. Who
Well, I think his time in charge at the academy was
I think if he
like
was,
a golden age.
I think if
from
he
what we
was
talked
still
about
in
earlier, a few
charge
players.
at the academy, or he had moved up, because he's the type of player I would like to see move up onto the coaching staff, first team. I think, and this is where continuity comes in, because he believes, has developed, gave confidence, and has a loving relationship with the players. That's when you get that. You don't get masses of them, but that's when they come through, because I'm easy, I can talk to you, I know what makes you tick, I understand you, I trust you. And that's where, but that was, those things are, because they're constant turnover, changeover. I think the academy's had like 3 managers in a year or something like that. So, but it'd be an interesting game. It'll be a very interesting game, because they are banana skins, man. Yeah, you just want the
Expecting a
team.
lot of
You want the team to
changes.
come and lie down, and they don't want to. They want to come and roll up their sleeves. It's the worst thing in the world, because you're more thinking, right, I'm still a bit stiff and tired from Saturday, first game, hot and all that, evening game. Okay, just get through it, and we got a biggie then against QPR. So your mind is half over here, but you do realise, right, let's put these to bed. But if they come and they're like, it's like, you're trying to conserve energy.
Yeah.
For the league game. So it's the time when I always say
changes though.
it's the time when I say you change your personnel, but you run them, you play them, you pass them to death. In behind, run their centre backs, turn their centre backs, not turn them as in ball over the top, but ball in, third man running, striker spinning.
Maybe I'll see Amiobi starting maybe at wide.
Well, you would think so.
Well, I would rather see him against QPR starting.
Well, actually, he's not going to start against QPR, is he?
We've got to, isn't he?
I don't see why
He's not. Well, he's not dropping Whittingham, is he? I don't think he'll drop Rowles. Pilkington's there. Craig Noon, if anybody's going to come in on the wing, isn't he?
I mean, the whole Amiobi thing is in real danger of just going into a blind alley then. I mean, just an unused...
Heading down the Wilfred Zaha...
Well, at least Zaha got Solskjaer at least tried to play him.
There were some suggestions when they got Amiobi that it would be part of the agreement that he played the vast majority of matches because...
Well, I'm surprised they let him come here to sit on the bench.
That's why...
Do they have that though? You must play...
Yeah, no, a lot of the Premier League clubs won't let you have their players if they're not going to play.
Amiobi could have come off the bench.
Exactly, you'd rather come off the bench in the Premier League.
For Newcastle, exactly. On the weekend he could have come off and probably been played in his preferred position at that. So... No, I mean, that's a mystery to me. It's like we said it already. Why you bring this guy in after all this fuss and then don't bring him into the training ground and say, right, this is the star man. This is our right guy.
Maybe it was just for that one game. Rowles had done really well in pre-season and he thought he deserved a chance for the first game. That starting 11.
It was the opening game of the season at home against Fulham. A good way to run it out. I mean, like I say, you can.
And don't pee him off by putting him on the bench because no matter how you hate being a sub. All players hate being substitute. Now you're into squad systems where you understand, but if you're coming from Newcastle to Cardiff at this moment in time, you'd be expecting to play. And I don't play unless the manager comes to me and says, "You're looking a bit tired, how you feeling?" And I say, "Yeah, it's only Wimbledon, I'll have a little break and I'll come back for QPR," or, "No, I'm happy to play, legs feel fine, I want to get back in, I want to get my fitness up." But... we don't know. Flies on walls be great, wouldn't it?
It would indeed. A couple of comments to finish.
We finished already.
City have a strong squad. The club should be spending their efforts on getting the likes of Velaconia, Guerra, Kiss, etc. off the books before trying to get more in. They just can't shift these.
Well, I think they desperately tried to get rid of them. Yeah, they drive them to the airport. I think.
Well, the question's who you're signing in the first place, isn't it? Really.
Well, perhaps. Another one for Ocean Roberts, Craig Bellamy and Raymond Verheyen. These would sort us out.
Dutch Ray,
Dutch Ray.
It's gone a bit quiet, hasn't it?
He has gone a bit quiet
for a while.
Since Wales's rise up the rankings. A bit like you.
Like me and my Team GB calls.
You and Raymond have gone
I love. Quiet. No, we'd be fine, man.
We get on toes. I brought this as a final question for you then. I mean, one of the most interesting issues I think you covered was about the youth setup. Your views on that today. JH here saying, would Blakey take a job within the youth coaching staff if offered the opportunity? And what changes would you?
Depends how much.
Depends
how much it pays, innit?
I think the question has an obvious answer, but it's.
No,
I've been.
I couldn't. I mean,
yeah, you couldn't.
I've been. How long have we been doing Boot Room for? This is the third season.
25 years.
Third season. How long have I been with a column for? 4 or 5 years. How long have I been going to Cardiff City? I'm sure I played a couple of games for that club.
Is your memory gone or what?
Yeah.
Well,
what I'm saying
is,
what's my name? What I'm saying is, how many changes have you seen in first team, 21 team, academy team? As we were just saying, no one's ever picked the phone to me, so I don't give them the pleasure of saying, "Oh, I really want to love to." Mate, I'm just here to give an opinion. If they can't see it, hey, like I said, we've given an opinion, and what came out of Cardiff City was, we're stirrers, we're troublemakers.
What?
Not listen to the analysis and you might learn something, because the person who said it was actually a person who doesn't know much about football. Yeah, so listen, you might learn something, and then you can put it into practice, and you might have a little bit of success, or more than what you've had. But, mate, I don't sit at home waiting for the phone to ring from Cardiff, and I don't expect it ever will. So JH, I'm sorry, But I can't see it happening.
He loves the boot room
The
too much anyway.
road
wouldn't
is.
Singing's probably not an option. Either.
No,
No,
forget that.
I can't clear a dance
Be on
floor.
the stage, son, sweeping it.
If you want your windows broken, just call me. Yeah.
Right, I think we're done, chaps. I think we'll leave it there.
That was short and sweet.
Well, you know, full hour, yeah, plenty to get through.
We're on time. We started on time. We're finishing on time. Oh, we haven't
Should be a good one next week after QPR as well. Late kick-off next weekend, I think. Next
5:15 or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay.
It's on telly, innit?
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's good. It should be a good.
That's the sort of, you know, I thought the start of the season, I looked at fiction and thought, wow, that's
we're
right.
talking
Very
about
much where Cardiff were last year, a club in a bit of a mess.
talking team. You know, we were talking about is the team spirit there? Are they all pulling together? Is the dressing room a different place? You'll find that out, I think, on Saturday, more than maybe home to Fulham. That kind of like even to the Lions' Den thing, how they pull together there will tell us a lot
It's a
more
tight
about
little ground, Loftus as well.
So it's a comedian.
I might even go up and have a look. I might do.
Well, that'd be good.
Before you come on pontificating next week. I tell you what, why don't you change the tradition and watch the game? Okay? Hang on, and put your
I
glasses
watch the
on
game
as well.
very closely.
You do.
Not always with glasses, but
No.
you know.
You can get a lift up with Tux in the old Fiat.
Him sat in the back. I remember we had to release him at the services. It was like having a
Okay,
great
like,
game in the back. I was going to get Blakey a bowl of water.
And I was only
at
going
one
to
point.
Wolverhampton. Oh, mate, it's like
Well, that was Wolves.
neck
wasn't it?
crusher and come out all messed up and twisted.
How are we getting bigger cars? I don't know. That's a whole.
Well, indeed. That's one for another day, probably.
Possibly.
All right, chaps, thanks for that.
Cheers.
We'll leave it there. Thanks for all your comments and for joining us. Hope you'll stick with us throughout the season. Live blogs coming up tomorrow from the Wimbledon game.
Yes, so we're going to be down. Yeah,
What are we,
top coverage.
7:45?
I think so. Yeah, I presume so. Yeah.
Can we do a little?
5:15 on Saturday. Go on quickly.
I was going to say, can we do a little competition with Tux's hair? Like if we finish in the top.
I tell you what, you know what I'm going to do?
Grow it
I'm
until-
not going to cut it
That's
until
what I'm
Cardiff
saying.
get promoted.
Yeah,
I'll be like that guy at the Adams family, you know, cousin it, or I'm sat like, with a hat on.
How about just give it a bit of a wash?
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll comb it if Cardiff win and keep it. And I got to get a treat
No, leave it until they win.
until they win.
Until they win back to back. Then would you have that? Till they win,
Fine,
win.
it's been growing.
2
for us.
league games.
Hey, some people like this hairy look. Do you know what I mean? They like
I
this
love
hairy
it.
look.
Oh.
Do your Chewbacca. Do your Chewbacca.
No, I don't know.
It's quite topical now with the new Star Wars reboot coming out.
Yeah, I've been watching
honestly,
it. I've been watching
honestly, he does the best Chewbacca. It's brilliant, man. It's like being in the same room as Chewbacca.
That's for my stand-up comedy night. I don't.
Indeed.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
thanks, chaps. Thanks all. See you again next time.